Do watch our special coverage on the G20 meeting happening in Kashmir. We'll be covering all the aspects of this high-profile meeting that's happening here in Srinagar at the SKICC. Do watch out for our coverage on the Mojo story. Hello and welcome. My name is Zaffar Iqbal and you are watching the Mojo story. Today we come to you live from the banks of Jhelum in Srinagar. A short while ago, the cavalcade of G20 delegates moved from this side. They came from the airport and they went to the SKICC where a meeting is taking place. It's a very important meeting. The third tourism working group will be meeting. It will be there to deliberate on 5 key priority areas, which are green tourism, digitalization, skills, MSMEs, and destination management. Now, this working group meeting has the highest participation that's been registered. There have been many such meetings that have taken place in the country, but this has the highest participation, more than 2 previous tourism working meetings at Rann of Kutch and Siliguri. So it's very significant also because this high-profile meeting is taking place in Srinagar. First such high-profile meeting after the abrogation of Article 370 and the statehood of Jammu and Kashmir on August 5, 2019. Well, we have an eminent panel to discuss the significant, the important G20 meeting happening in Srinagar. But if we can play that short report that we did when the cavalcade was on its way from the airport to the SKICC before we go to our panelists. The G20 delegates have arrived in Srinagar. They are now heading from airport to the SKICC in a cavalcade. You can see they are moving, these vehicles moving behind me. This is a very significant meeting, the working group meeting, the third working group meeting on tourism that's taking place in Kashmir. All these members are driving to SKICC where the meeting will take place. This is also significant because it's the first high-profile international meeting that's happening in Kashmir after the abrogation of Article 370 on August 5, 2019. So all of these members in their cars moving towards the SKICC. There are tight security arrangements in place all across Kashmir where a multiple security grid has been thrown for the security of the delegates. There are additional security measures that have been put in place, like anti-drone mechanisms are also operational. There are Marcos who we've been seeing, they were patrolling the Dal Lake. There are NSG commandos in Kashmir. They are also on the ground. All those measures have been put in place to ensure that everything passes on peacefully. There is huge media contingent which is covering this event. There are media people who come from Delhi. They are also here, local media. They're covering this event. So clearly tight security arrangements are in place as the G20 meet starts in Kashmir. This is a 3-day meeting that's happening from May 22nd to May 24. So that's the situation from Kashmir. We're told that 3 countries have not registered, Saudi Arabia, Turkey and China, for this meeting. But nevertheless, this is a significant meeting that's taking place in Kashmir. This is a message from India that Kashmir is an integral part of India, though Pakistan has been objecting to this meet, and everything is normal in the valley. This is also to counter those critics and cynics who say that situation is not conducive in valley. For now, the news is that the delegates have arrived in Srinagar and the meeting will start shortly at the SKICC Convention Center. In Srinagar with Haris Togo, Zaffar Iqbal from Mojo Story. Well, let's go across quickly to our panelists. We are joined by R.S. Pathania, who is a spokesperson of the BJP. Welcome to the show, sir. We are also joined by SP Vaid, former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir. He joins us from Jammu. We are also joined by Ambassador Manju, Seth, former diplomat. She joins us. Padma, senior journalist. He also joins us. Danish Iqbal, political Analyst, is also with us. Welcome all to the show. Well, if I may start with you, SP Vaid, you have been the police chief of Jammu and Kashmir. Your IG Jammu, your DGP Jammu and Kashmir. You know the security concerns when such a high profile meeting takes place. But I wanted to ask you that in the past we've been seeing strikes, shutdowns whenever such a meet or a similar sort of an event would take place in Kashmir. But this time that's not the case. Traffic is moving normally, the shops are open, though there are tight security arrangements in place. What is the difference that you see this time compared to the past?
And good afternoon to viewers. We had before abrogation of Article 370 and 35A separatist politics playing at the hands of Pakistan, and there used to be call whenever a high-profile visit or high-profile meeting used to be there. There would be boycott. There would be civil curfew. You know what civil curfew means.
Yeah.
Vehicles would not come out. Bazaars would be closed, and all such sorts of things. But fortunately, after abrogation of Article 370, I think the separatist politics has been controlled to a very large extent. Their funding, their hawala transactions, you saw the multiple actions by not only J&K police but central investigation agencies like NIA, Income Tax, CBI, ED, and the action of the security forces, which is the Army, J&K Police, and paramilitary forces. I think after 5th August 2019, the overground workers, the support structure of the terrorism and separatist politics has been controlled to a very large extent. That is the difference you are seeing today. There are no incidents of pelting for last few years in Kashmir Valley. There are no band calls. There are no
Yeah.
hartals. There are no schools being shut, markets being shut. So that is the difference you are seeing today, and it is very welcome change seeing Kashmir away from
Right.
all this. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. SP Vaid, if I can go across to Ambassador Manju Seth, it's also very significant that there is a messaging, an inherent messaging in all of this, that it's happening in Kashmir after the abrogation of Article 370 on August 5, 2019. That situation is very different than what's being projected in some quarters.
Absolutely, because
Can,
as mentioned by you, this is the first time, and mentioned by, hello,
yes,
can you
yes,
hear
yes.
me?
Please go on. Yeah, yeah, we can hear you.
By Mr. Vaid also, this is the first time the markets are open, and the security, of course, has to be there, because from across the border we can see the threats are continuing, and their support for terrorism is not ending. And as their foreign minister, when he was here, he said India is weaponizing terrorism, which is a strange statement, because as if it is it's normal to have terrorism and we are only weaponizing it. So that is a strange statement, and I think they are the ones who are creating the problem most of the time. And they are not liking the fact that India is, of course, the G20 president this year, and the kind of support overall that India has been receiving in different fora, including at the recent G7. I think that is not very palatable to them. And we can see that this time with this meeting, it's a very positive step in my view, that we are holding this meeting, G20 meeting in Srinagar. And I think the people will benefit with this. Tourism is an important element in Srinagar's economy, and people coming there for this G20 meeting, it will encourage them to spread the word that Srinagar is open for tourism, and many more tourists. Already, of course, we are seeing a lot of people coming in, and Gulmarg, of course, is a very popular ski resort for people from across the world, not only from India. And of course, the numbers had gone down because of the instability. But now with more or less normalcy returning to Srinagar and to Kashmir, I'm sure there will be a great transformation in the lives of the people also, and tourism will take off. And as you mentioned, Mr. Zaffar, that the main aim is to have sustainable tourism and to encourage localization, so to speak, and a sustainable form of tourism for all the countries in the region and for Srinagar as well. Zaffar.
Tourism trust area. That's why this meeting is taking place in Kashmir. But Padma Rao, if I may go across to you, you covered the SCO meet in Goa, and you remember Bilawal Bhutto, Pakistan's foreign minister, said that he made very provocative statements कि वक्त आने पे बता देंगे or something like that when he was asked about G20. Pakistan has been objecting to holding of G20 meet in Kashmir. But India, of course, says that this is happening in many places in India, and Kashmir is just one of those places where this is being held. What do you make of in that background, the foreign minister of Pakistan, and now the successful conducting of meeting in Kashmir? Okay, do we have Padma Rao on the? Okay, we seem to have. Let me ask this to Pathania Saab, RS Pathania, if you can hear me.
I'm unmuted now.
Mr. Pathania, can you hear me? Okay, we seem to have some internet problem, but Mr. Pathania, can you hear me?
Please allow me to speak. You have muted me. I am audible, sir?
Yes. I was saying
Yes,
that there were
sir.
objectionable statement coming from Pakistani foreign minister during the SCO meet, where he said that कि वक्त
Yes,
आने पे जवाब देंगे, something of that sort. But India has gone ahead and said that J&K is just one part of India, and if it can be held in other places, it can also be held in J&K.
absolutely. Zafar, Jammu and Kashmir is
Yeah,
virtually,
yeah.
eventually, historically, and culturally the crown of India, the Bharatvarsh. If you see post 1947, also Jammu and Kashmir was the only princely state over which the British were not exercising direct administrative control. It was being ruled by the Maharaja, though with the support and sustenance of uh, the East India Company. But Jammu and Kashmir was an independent state. But in the last 50, 70 years, Jammu and Kashmir has seen bloodshed. Jammu and Kashmir has seen corruption. Jammu and Kashmir has seen struggles between one region, other region, one ethnicity, other ethnicity. So it was as good as a paradise lost. But in the past few years, once the government took up the firm stand that not only on paper but virtually in letter as well as spirit, Jammu and Kashmir is the Atuta Anga of Bharat. And today the international community is also putting it imprimatur on the Indian stand that Jammu and Kashmir is very much an integral part of India. And Jammu and Kashmir, this situation is coming has come down to a considerable normal. No more strikes, no more stone peltings, no more mass surprises and all that. Jammu and Kashmir is already on a very, very reconciliatory note, limping down to very normal and a controlled situation of security. This is as good as a paradise gained. This is what I'm saying here. So Jammu and Kashmir and virtually these G20, it itself offers a treasure trove of opportunities to the people of Jammu and Kashmir, not only tourism, but employment, industrial promotion, the projection for local culture, local cuisine, local trades, local practices. You see, the international community is discussing MSMEs, destinations, green tourism, digitalization, that even from India and in India, from the Jammu and Kashmir side, this is much significant. Everybody has a point to feel pride, to feel glory, and to feel a sense of greater self-satisfaction and a self-confidence also. This is a point to celebrate. This is a point. This is a point to make merry about it. And we really welcome each and everybody here, the G20 delegation, as well as the stiff, we could say, the courage and the conviction of the Modi Sarkar to do it and to allow it to be done and virtually practice it on ground also in the first.
Right, Patania sir, we had some problems with the internet, but we could hear you. Obviously, the message is quite clear that India will not be, whatever the provocative statements coming from Pakistan, India will go ahead with the plan. But Danish Iqbal, what's the sense that you get? It's very significant for tourism in Kashmir. Tourism is the backbone of Kashmir's economy.
Yes, I think first of all, it's and a matter of pride for the country to have assumed the role of G20 presidency this year under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister. And we are thankful, ordinary Kashmiri, exercised and observed politics for our last years. I'm thankful to you, Honorable Prime Minister, for having chosen Srinagar as for the summit, for the G20 summit. And as you and others might well know, that the summit will primarily focus on tourism and its opportunities and the business and other host of things. But it's very important for the G20 delegates to see and observe the change on the ground. It's a rare opportunity for, I think, for so many countries today to have landed down in Srinagar and see the change and then they can, of course, afford the luxury to observe things as purely as one can. It's important to see the kind of political change that is happening. All of the guests here talked about security change. Vaid Saab, as former DGP, already spoke about the security and its betterment that we have seen. And it's undoubtedly a fact that security has been good. As I wrote on Twitter a couple of days ago, that it was almost unimaginable for all of us to imagine a former home minister traveling in Srinagar without any bodyguards in a plain vehicle. That is a possibility today in Srinagar. But I would focus more on the political change since I come from politics. I've been associated with political parties earlier. Political space in Srinagar, in all over the Kashmir Valley, has been relatively much freer than it used to be. The political parties that we all knew have had an unprecedented monopoly over the politics, and if anybody wished to pursue politics, it had to be through them. Today, the government under the uh, leadership of Prime Minister has initiated a kind of change in which anybody can aspire, anybody can be part of the politics that one can wish to be. And it's very prevalent and evident from the fact that you have now so many DDCs and corporators and BDCs and all other people, who have come and who have taken the part in initiating change in Jammu and Kashmir. Uh, so yeah, it's important, as far as
Yes,
development.
democracy has been taken to the grassroots, and that was something that was
I,
missing in Jammu
I,
and Kashmir earlier. However, there are still no assembly elections that have taken place. But Padma Rao, coming to you, I was just asking you. You covered the SCO meet. If you can hear me,
I can
at
hear
that
you.
time, Pakistan's foreign minister made very provocative statements. When he was asked about G20 meet happening in Kashmir, and now that this meet is taking place, and not just it's taking place, but it's taking place in completely normal conditions. There is traffic moving on the roads, the shops are open. It's just like another day. Although there are tight security arrangements in place, I may have to emphasize here that obviously when such a high profile meeting is taking place in Srinagar, the security has to be very tight. But what do you make of the Pakistan's statement, provocative statements, and the situation on the ground? Do you think it's the apt answer from India to the provocations of Pakistan?
Okay, thank you for having me on your show, Zaffar. Second try. When Bilawal Bhutto, I think, really put his foot into his mouth by saying कि आगे जाके देखेंगे जब आप summit hold करेंगे, etc. Because that was a kind of a very badly veiled threat, and it in fact proved the very thing that India has been that has been holding back India from holding talks with Pakistan, which is Pakistan's official sponsorship of terrorism, not only in the valley but elsewhere in India. So I think Bilawal Bhutto was only confirming, the very fact that हम आगे जाके देखेंगे and how will the G20 summit be held in the valley, was really a kind of a confirmation that he has the power. In other words, the Pakistan government and the establishment has control over militancy and causing terrorism in the valley. So coming to the question of the security and the heightened security, as you rightly point out, any summit summit level meeting of this kind will obviously have those, the attendant security in place. That also, in fact, is a confirmation that that the Union of India takes its Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir seriously, and that it intends to protect every inch of its territory. Now, I just want to add, there was another such comment coming from Miss Maliha Lodi, the senior Pakistan diplomat, who said that she said, in fact, she pointed to this very security in the valley right now, Zaffar, and said that, look, if things are so normal in Kashmir, then why is there so much security? Well, to people like that, I think India can only say that there is security again because, your very foreign minister came to India and made veiled threats of infiltrating terrorists again into the Kashmir Valley to disrupt the G20 meeting. So I think all in all, as, the colleague from Kashmir himself was saying, yes, there is a lot of security, but a meeting like this brings focus and brings hope to people who live in the valley. I mean, they have suffered for decades now because of this, constant infiltration and the constant, the bloody terrorist acts that have been repeating themselves in Kashmir. So I do feel that there is, there is hope in the air, and I think a meeting of this kind is very likely to bring more specifically the focus on tourism to Kashmir, which of course is one of the most beautiful states in this country. Zaffar? I think we've lost Zaffar. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've lost my colleague Zaffar, so I've been asked to carry on with the questions. I'd like to ask you,
I can.
Yes, he's back now. Good. Zaffar is frozen again. Okay. Ambassador Seth, what do you make of this heightened security? Do you see it like some countries do, that it's a proof that there is no that there is, that things are not normal in the valley, or do you see it in a different way?
No, it is an international conference. It's an international meeting. People from delegates from different countries have come. Security has to be provided. Wherever in India, any of the G20 meetings that have taken place, there has been security. That is unavoidable. But in Kashmir, particularly in Srinagar, I think it has to be a little more heightened because of the threats, the veiled threats, as you also mentioned, coming in from their foreign minister on our soil. I think that is something which we cannot afford to ignore, because they are capable, they sponsor terrorism, and they're capable of doing anything. And India would definitely not like an important tourism meeting to be disrupted, a G20 meeting to be disrupted, especially during its presidency. But we can see China making those statements, and other countries following suit, if not saying something, but not attending the meeting. I think they are giving a message that we can hold India to ransom, so to speak. We can put pressure on India. But I think we have said very clearly that we will go on and do our best to get a good outcome for all the G20 meetings, including for the tourism meeting, which is a very important aspect of the economy of India, of the economy of Srinagar, and of course of all the participating countries. It's a very important soft power element in a country's diplomatic arsenal.
Right. Can you hear me now, Padma Rao?
We can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to ask Vaid Saab, you have been the former DGP. The problem is that, the terrorists try to strike at soft targets whenever such a thing happens. We're seeing that, there are attempts at infiltration at the line of control. So security grid has to be tight, not just in Srinagar city, but all across the Union territory. We know that the delegates were also supposed to go to Gulmarg, but that was cancelled later on, and they would be mostly in Srinagar city. So can you throw us some light on that as well?
Zaffar, it's very unfortunate that you have neighbors like Pakistan and China. You look at the security arrangements in G7 meeting in Japan. No country can take chances with such high-profile meeting. You can't afford an incident. So with a neighbor like China and Pakistan, India has to be extra careful. And last 30 years, how Pakistan is propping up terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. So arrangements have to be foolproof. Look at the way Bilawal Bhutto gave a veiled threat that waqt aane pe dekhenge, and India will repent it. I think Dr. Jaishankar very rightly, very aptly put it that he is acting as not only a foreign minister but spokesperson of the terrorist. So that is the kind of treatment he needed, and I think befitting reply was given by Dr. Jaishankar. And see, under such circumstances, you saw the infiltration in Rajouri, Poonch, how attacks took place on our army. So arrangements have to be very, very foolproof, and not only the venue, the place of stay of the delegates, their travel entourage, all has to be secured very, very carefully. Apart from that, the whole Srinagar city, which is the hub of all these activities, need to be dominated, need to be protected. And I think that's why appropriate deployment, I don't want to go into details, around the Dal Lake, Navarwan Hills, all around the venue has been taken care of. And coming to the third tier, the whole valley, if there is an incident, even in Chopaiya or Kupwara, it makes an international news. So every place in Kashmir, and rather I would say even Jammu region, needs to be dominated, and we can't allow any incident to take place. So the Jammu and Kashmir police, the army and paramilitary forces, they are taking absolutely no chance, and very high alert is being maintained not only in the hinterland but also on the borders. So I think I am very confident the event will pass incident free, and we will have a befitting reply to Pakistan. Coming to the China, one second. Coming to China's question that it is a disputed territory. If there is one place which is disputed, the China should be told it is their Tibet, and don't talk of J&K. Thank you very much.
Right. Ambassador Manju said, SP Vaid referred to China. There reports that China, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia have not registered. They are not participating in the meeting. Do you think it makes any impact? It is significant, or it makes no difference at all? But because there are the number of participants are much higher in number than the two previous meetings on tourism.
No, absolutely. It doesn't make a major impact on the meeting, but of course G20 being, they are members of the G20, so India would like that all members of the G20 grouping attend all the working group meetings. But this is their agenda always, trying to create problems, trying to create issues for India all the time, put pressure on India. And and China has this habit of not losing any opportunity of doing so, and also along with Pakistan, because Pakistan and China relationship is, as they keep saying, very the strongest, and full of like brothers. So they don't want to and in their view, putting something on India, putting pressure on India is the best way to keep needling India. So they want to not let India, and they're seeing what happened in the G7 and at how India was given so much importance and how it is gaining in its profile, and India is and so they want to just, I think, China particularly wants to just go along with what Pakistan has to say, though they had no local standard at all to make any such comments or to boycott the meeting. Other countries like Saudi Arabia and J&K, and Turkey consider J&K as disputed because I think of Pakistan's position, and which is able to influence their thinking. And maybe it's a religious factor, I don't know. But they are also not coming because they would like to be supportive, I think, of Pakistan's position, maybe. And that is one of the reasons why I think they have not come. But China definitely would like to see if it can disrupt or to undermine India's position. And I think that's one of the reasons they are not participating in this.
China wants to undermine India's position. That's quite obvious, and that's why they're not participating. But Pathania Saab, coming to you, what is the larger appeal that India is sending by having this meet in Srinagar, in Kashmir? The tourism meeting, of course, tourism is a very important element of Jammu and Kashmir's economy, more so of the Kashmir Valley, the scenic beauty of Kashmir, paradise on earth. Everybody would want to come and visit Kashmir at least once.
Zafar Saab, as I earlier said also, Kashmir is a paradise, but it was as good as a paradise lost. Now it is a paradise gained. Point one. Point two, that Jammu and Kashmir is an two-tongue and integral part of India. If dispute any or dissension any remains, that is with regard to a part of Jammu and Kashmir under the illegal and unauthorized control of Pakistan and another part of Jammu and Kashmir under the illegal and unauthorized control of China. The China-Pak economic corridor, the Aksai Chin, and Dr. Vaid has also rightly pointed out Tibet. If you see the name of Maharaja Hari Singh Inder Bhinder and Tibet Desh Adhipati. So Maharaja Hari Singh was the Tibet Desh's Adhipati also. So the only dispute remains with regard to the territory which is under the legal control of India and China, and some international players, knowingly or unknowingly, I am trying to make a pointer towards Turkey also, towards their we could say the anti-people, the anti-humanitarian moves and antics of Pakistan as well as China. Pakistan is labeled as a propagator, progenitor, protector, and ultimately a spreader of terrorism also. So terrorism is an international taboo. Fight
Right.
against terrorism. This has a global tango and a global, we could say, eco. So we, with this G20 vision, we want to fix it. That India stands committed against the fight against terror also. India is war for a peaceful nation. And lastly, one earth, one family, one future. This is the motto of this G20. Please.
Right. Padma, if you can hear me, you wanted to come in?
Yes, I just wanted to add something to what Ambassador Seth said about, I think Commissioner Vaid and Ambassador Seth have spoken enough about China and Pakistan and why they are reacting the way they are. What I'd like to add about Saudi Arabia is that Saudi Arabia went one step further and issued a rather provocative special currency note to commemorate G20, which shows practically all of Jammu and Kashmir, practically all of Kashmir, including Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, lopped off, and India is the rest of the rest of the peninsula on the map. So this has already been objected to by the Indian government, and a reaction is awaited. But at the same time, when you go through Twitter, you see a lot of, not a lot of, but a couple of Middle Eastern influencers, so to speak, who are, promoting Kashmir and promoting the G20 on the occasion of the G20 and promoting the beauty, the natural beauty of Kashmir and its handicrafts and all that. So it's a kind of a mixed reaction coming out of the Middle East. As far as Turkey is concerned, I think we should remember that, the current President Erdogan is the one who has followed a very, very hardline policy vis-a-vis India, vis-a-vis, over the state of Jammu and Kashmir, over the Union Territory rather of Jammu and Kashmir, and in various other matters. But Turkey is currently undergoing elections. The second phase of the Turkey elections are on the 28th, and it doesn't look, Mr. Erdogan has a slim majority right now, but everything could change on the 28th of May, and a more liberal and progressive government may come in, and and that may again change the equation dramatically as far as Turkey-India relations, specifically over the Jammu and Kashmir, are concerned. So I just wanted to add that as some of the interesting reactions coming from the Islamic world, so to speak. Zaffar.
That's a very important perspective. But before we wrap up, Danish Iqbal, I wanted to have a last word from you. It's also important for local politics, as you were pointing out. It's not just about security, but also about politics at a local level. The local political parties, the National Conference, the PDP, have been saying that why aren't assembly elections being held in Jammu and Kashmir? Although the democracy has reached the grassroots elections, the panchayat elections, and other local bodies elections that have taken place. So to sum up, how do you view this from a political point of view on the ground in Jammu and Kashmir?
Well, Zaffar, I think it would have been very important if the Honorable Lieutenant Governor would have invited independent political activists, student leaders, small-time business leaders, and the people from a cross-section of society to give their point of view, rather than only the IAS and the IPS officers, because the G20 is primarily a political unit, and it would have been important to present the state of politics as it exists on the streets of Srinagar today, and that could have been only given by independent activists who are working in Srinagar and Kashmir. Regarding your question on the restoration of democracy and the assembly elections, yes, I believe that assembly elections should be held as soon as possible. But it's important, Zaffar, to understand, and I'm saying this very carefully. It's important to understand for people like you and for people belonging to the rest of the country, that democracy was brazenly monopolized by the two regional political parties here, who would control the political space here. It was under their permission who could be a political leader or not to be a political leader. So it's, of course, taken the government under the new government since August 5th, 2019. It would take some time to kind of, if I may say, to sort of, to unfetter the political monopoly that they held over the last 50, 60 years. It's important that the government provides a level democratic political field, and then only the elections should take place. I'm all for elections. I'm all for democracy. I have fought for democracy in my own small way. I've been a student leader in school, in college, and university here. I have fought for the case of India here, and it's important for the national leadership under Honorable Prime Minister that democracy has to be restored. Jammu and Kashmir cannot be put under bureaucratic rule forever. We are proud Indians, and we are proud about the Indian democracy and not about India's bureaucracy. It's important that Prime Minister understands it. It's important that the government in New Delhi takes a call and restores assembly elections, conducts assembly elections, and restores the government in Srinagar as soon as possible.
I think these delegates are also meeting some of the members of the civil society, but that's a very important point that you put across about the restoration of democratic process and the assembly election. But that's all the time we have on our show today. Thanks so much to all our participants on the show. As I was saying, that it's a long day ahead. They will be going, and there will be at least two important events that are taking place in SKICC, which also includes a press conference. So we'll keep you updated about all those developments. But for now, it's goodbye from all of us here at the Mojo Story. Thanks for watching.
We started Mojo right here in this basement. Just 4 people, 4. And now we're about to hit our first 1 million subscribers. So this is to say thank you to all of you for your support, for your respect, and for your encouragement. We've always gone to where the story is. During the pandemic, when television's big anchors were hunkered down in their studios or at their homes, we hit the road. We traveled from Delhi to Kerala, covering 30,000 kilometers in our small car, reporting from inside ICUs and inside slum tenements. Whether it's flash floods or war zones, we've always put our boots on the ground. In fact, we're just back from Punjab, tailing the Khalistani fugitive Amritpal Singh. And through all of this, we have always put you, the people, first. In an age of partisan polarized media where most journalists are either chamcha ya morcha, we believe the story is sacred and the truth of the story is what matters. And now, as we get ready for the next step, we need your help. Become a Mojo member and get first access to all our big interviews. Get a chance to ask our newsmakers questions. Get a chance to write and report for us for both our website and our channels. And also, interact with me and my colleagues directly through AMA sessions. Literally, ask me anything. Click on the join now right next to the subscribe button, and yes, also subscribe if you haven't yet, and become a Mojo member for just 159 rupees a month. Hope to see lots of you in our community.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.